Very good morning, guys. Okay, so last day we've been talking on how to access the data from XML, right? Yeah, we've just been discussing about how to access the data from the XML. And finally, I just said you the drawback of accessing the data by using XML. What is the drawback? What is the drawback? There is a tight coupling between the DAL class and the controller. The DAL class and the controller have a tight coupling between each other. And if at all you want to resolve this particular problem, we are provided with an option called as, we are provided with a concept called as a dependency injection contain. Dependency injection. So last class, this is where I stopped it. So what is the problem and how to resolve the problem is what I was explaining in the last session, right? So what is the problem? There is a tight coupling between there's a tight coupling between controller and DAL class. There's a tight coupling between controller and the DAL class. And I don't want this tight coupling between the controller and the DAL class. I don't want this tight coupling between the controller and the DAL class. The controller and the DAL class, I don't want this type of tight coupling. Okay, I don't want this. Oh, if at all you don't want the tight coupling between the controller and the DAL class, what exactly you need to do is, what exactly you're required to do is, you're required to just go for using a concept called as a dependency injection. Yeah. So what is the dependency injection and how do we use the dependency injection in our applications? I said you an example to you already. Some clients, I said you one live example to you. I'm developing a product. And for this product, different clients are asking me different types of implementation. One client wants the data source to be in XML. One client wants the data source to be Excel. One client wants the data source to be SQL Server. One client wants the data source to be Oracle. So like this, they have different types of there are different types of requirements for the clients. Okay, they want different types of implementation. They don't want the same implementation for all. They want a different implementation for each. So if they want a different implementation for each one, okay, so how do you do that? First, I'll show you the coding practically. Later, we will just discuss about how exactly this works. Okay. See, when your requirement is the implementation of the DAL class should be varying based on the client requirement. The implementation of the DAL class will be varying based on the client requirement, where one client is asking for XML, fine. Another client is asking for SQL Server. So in that scenario, what do? You know, we'll be defining different classes now. We'll be defining different classes. See, this is a customer XML DAL. So this DAL implementation is done targeting XML. Same way, I am writing another DAL class in the project. Let me go to the models. One more DAL class in the project. Add a class. And I will name it as customer SQL DAL. Customer SQL DAL. Means my intention here is I want to give an implementation for the DAL class targeting SQL Server. So another customer wants Excel. Another customer wants Excel as a data source. Okay. Now, for that again, we define one more class. And here we are using Excel DAL. And there is another client who wants Oracle as a data source. So add class. And here I'll say Oracle DAL. Oracle DAL. So right now I have 4 DAL classes in my code now. Correct? Now what to do? What to do here? In this, you have written the code for targeting XML, correct? Same way in this, write the code targeting SQL, write the code targeting SQL. In this, write the code targeting Excel. In this, write the code targeting Oracle. You can write the code. Okay, implementation is done. After the implementation is done, what is the next thing you're required to do? You're required to go to your controller. You're required to go to your controller. And here, you're required to change the class now. So which class are you targeting now? Customer XML. If client requirement is SQL, change the code to customer SQL DAL. If the client requirement is Oracle, change the code to customer Oracle DAL. If the client requirement is Excel, change the code to customer Excel DAL. If this change is in one place, well and good, I will do it. But suppose if I need to do this in 10 to 15 different controllers, that becomes hectic now. Yes or not? 10 to 15 places if I need to change now, that becomes hectic. And by mistake, if I forget anything, then automatically a problem starts. Correct? By mistake, I forgot to modify in one place, the problem starts there. So I should be very cautious and careful. Did I change it in all the places or not? So that becomes a time-taking process and also error-prone. So to overcome this particular problem, what you require to do, step one. First, see, when you're writing different implementations, guys, tell me one thing. The methods in all these classes, implementations can vary, but the methods in all the classes should be same or not? Open the mouth and answer. The method should be same or not? Because if the method should be same only, because all these methods should be same. You write the data source as Excel or Oracle or whatever it is, these methods should be same only. These methods cannot change. Why? If I change these methods, that will become still a big headache. Again, all the method names should be changed in the controller code. So better what you do, the method name should be same in all these places. So the best way how you can just do is first do this. What is it? Remember interfaces? Interfaces. We already learned about interfaces. What is the interface? And also in the C# classes, I clearly explained to you where do we use interfaces in the real time. I taken the ATM system case study for you and said your interface will be on the client system, which is holding the reference of the class on the server. The reference of the class will come to the client and we hold it on the interface. And now understand, this is another scenario where interfaces will be used. This is another scenario where interfaces will be used. What is that? Watch. You define 4 classes now. In all these particular 4 classes, we need to define the same methods. Same methods only should be present. If you change the method name, that will become still complicated. So what you do first is, take one interface, guys. Take one interface. Add one interface in the project. Add a new item. Interface. Just naming it as customer DAL. That's all. Not Oracle or SQL. Customer DAL. That's all. This is generic. Customer DAL. Now in this interface, what you'll do, what are the methods you want to implement in the classes? Declare all the methods here. Whatever methods you want to define in all the classes, declare the methods here. Okay, these are the methods. What we want now? First method. List of customer underscore select. And remember, the default scope is public. I don't require it public again already. Okay, again, we don't require to use public on that. Second method. Third one. Insert. Fourth one. A method for update. 5. A method for delete. A method for delete. Okay, it was showing you void. A method for delete. Customer underscore delete into customer ID. Are you clear? So all these particular methods we declared here. Now make this interface as a parent for all the classes. Make this interface as a parent for all the classes now. For all the classes, make this interface as a parent. Go to XML DAL. Customer XML DAL, colon, interface. No error will come because already the methods are implemented here. Now come to SQL del, colon. Now you get an error because the methods are not implemented. And you guys remember, what is it? If at all you want to implement the methods of an interface, I already explained you this concept to you. Right click, quick actions and refactorings. And here you will be finding an option called as implement interface. If you write, it will give you a blank implementation for all the methods. It will give you a blank implementation for all the methods. We need to write the logic later, but first all the methods will automatically come here. Now what you'll do, this is targeting to what? So write the code here to fetch the data from SQL server. We'll write the code here targeting SQL server going forward using entity framework core, not entity framework also, entity framework core. We'll be using entity framework and writing the code now. Same way you want customer Excel del, same story again, colon, I customer del, right click, quick actions and refactorings, implement interface. All the methods are given a implementation. So right now it's a blank implementation. We're required to write the actual logic. Now come to customer Oracle del, colon, I customer del, right click, quick actions and refactorings and give the implementation. Are you guys clearer? So like this, we are just trying to give the implementation for, you need to give the implementation. See here, you write the code targeting SQL server. Here, you write the code targeting Excel. Here, you write the code targeting Oracle. Finally, the problem now is, when I come to customer controller, tomorrow if the customer is asking for SQL, I require to change the name here now. What should I change? Customer SQL del. If the customer is asking Oracle, I require to change the name here. Customer Oracle del. If the customer is asking for Excel, here I need to change customer XML del. Customer Excel del. But the actual problem, what I said, if the change is in one place, fine. If the change has to be done in multiple places, that is error prone. Why? It becomes complex to identify all and modify. And the second important thing is, in this process, if you forget to make a change in one place, from that place, the data will come from a long data source now. See, 15 places I used here. 14 I done. 15th one I forgot. The 15th one will load the data from XML now. Are you clear? Error prone actions. So to avoid this complication, what is the first thing we should do? Define a interface and put all the methods into the interface now. Okay? You guys already know what is that? Interface is a parent of all the classes now. Interface is a parent of all the classes. Correct? Okay. Step 2. What is the step 2? Now go to program class. Now go to program class now. Second step is go to the program class. In the program class, guys, we just require to specify the interface name and the class name. The interface name and the class name. You're required to do the binding in this particular case. The interface name and the class name should be listed at this particular location now. The interface name and the class name should be listed over here. For example, how do you do that? Means we just do this by calling some methods here. We do this by calling some methods. We have 3 methods here, which we just call and do the bindings. We'll show you. What are that? Singleton, scope, transient. How do you write is, just a minute. We are going to add a new service, guys. We are going to add a new service. Builder dot services dot add scoped. It's a method. So what are the use of that? I'll tell you. 3 methods are there like this. What are 3 methods? Singleton, scoped, and transient. I'll explain about each and every method. Okay. Add scoped. And for this, you need to pass 2 parameters here. What are the 2 parameters? The first parameter is the service type. Second parameter is implementation type. What is that service type? In the service type, write the interface name. In the service type, write the interface name. What is the interface name? iCustomerDal, comma. And in the implementation type, write the class name. Write the class name. What is the class name? Currently you want to use XML-DAL. Currently you want to use, so customer XML-DAL. Customer XML-DAL. Basically when you write here, you get error because the argument what is it taking is not a string. What is it taking? Type. Whenever it is asking you as a type, you always require to pass the value by using the type of operator. Remember type of operator? We learned about it. A type of. That will tell you the complete type name with it namespace extension. You're required to write like this. Type of. Okay. Now, just to say builder dot services dot add scope, and we just use type of. And what you do now, now in all your controllers, don't use the class name, use the interface name. Don't use the class name. What we use? So when you're developing the controllers, in all the controllers, use the interface names. Don't use the class name. So come to the controller. Which controller? Let us come to the customer controller. Let's come to the customer controller. Here, what are you using? But what I should use, interface is what I required to use. How to use it? Watch it. The interface should be used here, but we cannot create the instance of interface. Remember the point. So I cannot say iCustomerDal obj is equals to new iCustomerDal. No, not like that. How do you do, Just watch. iCustomerDal obj. I'm declaring a variable of it. I'm declaring a variable. Now I'm defining a constructor. Public customer controller. Okay. And for that, we just write iCustomerDal obj. This dot obj is equals to obj. Array, you understood this code? You're using a constructor to initialize now. You're using a constructor to initialize. You're just using a constructor to initialize. And now all your doubt will be, where are you going to create the instance of this class and passing this particular value? We don't require to do it anywhere. There is a built-in container in our applications called as dependency injection container. There is a built-in container called as a dependency injection container. The dependency injection container will automatically inject the interface object here. It's not exactly the interface, the implementation class object here. What it will do? It will automatically inject the implementation class. What is the implementation class? You specified that in the program. Here you specified the implementation class. Right now what happens, in the runtime, the instance of the customer XML-DAL will be sent to obj, and that is captured under obj. And you know that child instance can always be assigned to a parent variable now. See, I did not create a parent instance here. What I created is a variable. What will come in the runtime? The child instance will come now. Okay, now let me run this code once. Let me run this. Is it working or not? Let us see. Now we are targeting XML, correct? What's the controller name? Customer, right? Customer, display customers. Got your data? Got your data coming from XML. Tomorrow, SQL. If at all you want to work with SQL, your work is very simple. You might be using this DAL class in different places. In all places, what you should target? Interface, but not class. In all your controllers, use only interface name. Don't use the interface name, won't change. Interface name is same for all now. Now come to program class. If at all you want to work with SQL, simple process. Come here and make the name as SQL del. Enough. Your application now targets SQL Server now. Your application now targets SQL Server. You use Excel del. Your application now targets Excel. You use Oracle. Your application now targets Oracle. Now tell me, are you making the changes in multiple places or one single location? Did you guys understand the advantage now? You're not making the modification in multiple places. You're just trying to make the change only in a single location. And once you just update it in single place, that gets affected for you the whole project. That gets affected for you in the whole project. You're just going to have that particular change reflected for you in the complete project now. And that is the beauty of the dependency injection. So basically, dependency injection is not a new concept here. It is available in MVC 5 also. The dependency injection is not a new concept. It is available in MVC 5 also. But if at all you want to use dependency injection in MVC 5, you're required to write a lot of coding. You're required to write a lot of coding. In MVC core, what did Microsoft done is, Microsoft has given a simple implementation for this. It has provided a built-in dependency injection container called as IOC container, inversion of control container. And that is inbuilt for you. And you just require to only come to the program class and specify the class what you wanted to use. Two things what you required to pass on. What is the first parameter? Interface name. Second parameter, class name. Tomorrow, if at all you want to change your application targeting a new data source, the modification will be done only in one place. Which place? Program. And once you do the change in the program, automatically the whole application will be changed off to the new database what you're asking for. And that's what we call as dependency injection. Did you understand now? It's a simple concept here. If I show you practically, that will be more kind. That's it. It never talked about it. But now you see, I shown you practically here. So next, we are going to write the coding now, targeting SQL Server. Now when I use SQL del, it will target SQL Server and work. If I use XML del, it will target XML and work. My application will easily adopt to the data source now. It becomes easier for the developers to do it. So what are the changes I have done for the application? Can you tell me? First change. I declared an interface with all the methods. I declared one interface with all the methods now. Okay. Yeah. Customer Oracle and SQL del same time we can use by adjusting. Yeah, 2 times you write. That's all. 2 times you can just use it. If at all you want to use, okay. So if the interface is same, you cannot do that. If the interface is same, you cannot do that. You're required to take different interfaces and perform it. Why do we use it 2 at a time? I want to use both customer and SQL classes same time. Can we use it this by registering it? Why do we use it 2 at a time? Tell me first. If interview they're asking this particular question, so what is the thing is, if at all you want to use it like this, you're required to take separate interfaces. You cannot take the same interface. If you take the same interface, you cannot inject multiple. What you're required to do is 2 separate interfaces and then you can perform it. One interface for SQL, one interface for Oracle. Understood? Okay. So what are the things I change? First step. Define a interface with all the methods you want to define in the classes. With all the methods you wanted to define in the classes. 5 methods with all. Step 2. Go to the program class and add a new service. Add a new service now. So we are adding a new service now. What service? Dependency injection service is what we are adding. And to add the dependency injection service, we have three separate methods available: add transient, add scoped, add singleton. I'll tell you the differences. Hold on. Three methods are there. What are the three methods? Add transient, add scoped, add singleton. You see? And the first line you written builder services dot add controller with views. If I call this method, which service I want? MVC service. If I call add controllers, I want web API service. Add browser pages, I want web app service. Correct? Same way we have three methods like add scoped, add transient, and add singleton. That will tell you the scope of your object. That will tell you the scope of the object. And here we need to specify two things here. One, interface name, and two, class name. Third step. What is the third step? Now go to all your controllers. Now go to all your controllers and don't use the class name anywhere. If you use the class name, that's a tight coupling between the class and the controller. What do you use? Parent. What is the parent? Interface name. What you're going to use is the interface name. So we use the interface name. So in the runtime, what happens, the inbuilt dependency injection container will identify which class are you targeting. You're targeting customer Oracle DAL. So what it will do? It will send the instance of this class. It will send the instance of this class to controllers. So when the instance is sent to the controllers, automatically interface can hold the child class instance and access the methods now. Now all the methods will be targeting to Oracle. If I write SQL, the whole application targets to SQL. Understood the concept? That only I said you again, you're asking the same question. Two clients, one need XML, one need SQL. I said the same story for you, and again you're asking the same thing only. That what I said you yesterday, some clients want SQL, some clients want Oracle, some clients want Excel, some clients want XML. What to do? Come to program class, and in the program class, change the class name here. Change the class name. After change the class name, build it and give it to the clients. Another client comes asking for SQL. Change the class name to SQL. Build it. Give it to the clients. For everyone, I'll build and give it to the appropriate client now. One using Oracle, one using SQL. For every client, they can tell me. I will charge based on that. If you're saying XML, I'll say XML is free. XML is free in the sense the cost of the product is 1 lakh. If you are choosing XML, free. The cost of the product is, you're asking for Excel. If you're asking for Excel, we need to have a licensing every year. So the cost is going to be 1.15 lakhs. You're asking for SQL Server. SQL Server means it is going to be more costing. So it is going to cost them 1.5 lakhs. You're asking for Oracle. I'll say if you're asking for Oracle, it's going to be a little bit high. The costing is going to be 1.6 lakhs or 1.7 lakhs. I'll tell the product pricing here. The client can choose. The client says, Oracle, fine. You pay me, I will change the code to Oracle and deploy this in you. You're asking for SQL, pay me, I'll just change to SQL and deploy this on your systems. Everyone, I can change it according to the requirement. Not problem with internet, you have come late into the classroom. That is your problem. I did not explain about transient and all. I did not tell about that. You're late into the classroom first. Okay. So what are the 3 steps? First step, louder. Declare one interface and put all the methods into interface. Second step, make that interface as a parent of all the classes. Third step, register the service. Register the service under program class. You need to register the service under the program class. And to do the registration, we have 3 methods available. What are the 3 methods? Add scoped, add transient, add singleton. I'll tell you the difference. But whatever the method it is, you need to pass the same 2 parameters only. What are the 2 parameters? One is interface name and 2 is class name. And finally go to all the controller classes, and in all the controller classes, wherever you have used the class name, where there is a tight coupling, remove the class name and put the interface name. So in the runtime, the dependency injection container will send the appropriate class to the controller now. Okay, these are the steps what we have. Fine. Now let's have a clean look onto this particular thing. What is this dependency injection and all these things? Okay. So all of you have a look. What is, yesterday I stopped it here. We can overcome this problem with the help of dependency injection design pattern. What is dependency injection? DI, also called as DI design pattern. You may ask the question like, what's DI? If they ask you what is DI, DI indicates dependency injection. Dependency injection is a process of injecting the object or instance of a class into another class that depends on it. See the concept of injecting, we are injecting now. What we are injecting? The object of a class into another class. What is that? The object of the DAL class is injected into the controller class. Are you clear? The object of the DAL class is injected into a controller class. We are injecting into the controller class basically. Okay. The dependency injection is the most used design pattern. The most used design pattern nowadays to remove the dependencies between objects or instances, and is allows to develop loosely coupled software components. Yesterday what we called tightly coupled. Today what we are calling loosely coupled. Yesterday what we have built is a tightly coupled, and today what we are building is loosely coupled. Okay. Next, dependency injection pattern involves three types of classes. One, client class. What is the client class? The client class is the class that depends on the service class. The client class is a class that depends on the service class. Can you identify and tell me what is the client class? What is the client class? Controller, yeah. Who depends? Controller depends on the class, na? Who is depending? Controller. So the client class is the controller. Controller depends on the service. The controller depends on the service. Second one, service class. What is the service class? The service class is nothing but our implementation classes and the interface. The implementation classes and the interface is the service class. See, the service class is the interface that provides services to the client class. Third one, injector. What is the injector class? Who is going to inject? Program class. Who is going to inject? Program class injected. See, injector class. The injector class injects the service class object into client class. Into the client class. Did you understand the three things? What is the first one? Client class. Who is the client? All the controllers. All the controllers are the clients. Second one, service class. Who is the service class? The interface plus all the child classes of the interface. But here what is important is only interface. That is the service. Third one, injector. What is the injector? Who is going to inject this service? Program is going to inject now. Program is going to inject. The injector class injects the service class object into the client class. That is what we call as the injector class. Is that clearer, all of you? So client class is controllers, service class is the interface and the child's, injector class is program in .NET Core 6.0, startup in 5.0. Are you clear? Here I done in 6.0. Because it is 6.0, where did I do the injection? Program. It is 5.0, where should I do the injection? Startup. I require to do in the startup. That's why don't come off to the name. I did not list the name there. I simply said you the injector class injects the service. I did not tell the name there. Simply I'm telling you, identify that on your own. In ASP.NET 6.0, it is a program class, and ASP.NET Core 5.0, it is the startup class. Okay. Now, dependency injection in ASP.NET Core. ASP.NET Core framework is designed from scratch to provide inbuilt support for dependency injection. There is an inbuilt support for dependency injection. ASP.NET Core framework injects objects or instances of dependency classes through constructor or method or property by using a built-in IOC container. Actually, this injection can be done in varieties of ways here. Today, we have just done an injection by using constructor. We done the injection by using a constructor. Remember, we defined a constructor. First, we declared what? I customer DAL. Then we define a constructor. iCustomer is what I use. Through constructor, we are injecting the dependency object. We can do the same thing by using a method. We can do the same thing by using a property. Are you clear? As well as you can also do it manual also. Fourth option is there. Not only like constructor, method, property injection, you can also inject it manually. What are the advantage of using ASP.NET Core dependency injection? ASP.NET Core dependency injection allows us to develop loosely coupled software components using ASP.NET Core dependency injection. It is very easy to swap with a different implementation of a component. Easy to swap. Just now, see, you are using XML. Once I read SQL implementation, I'll easily change up the code to SQL and a complete code will work with SQL now. Are you clear? Using ASP.NET Core dependency injection, it is very easy to swap with a different implementation of a component or better you say class. Component or a class. What type of services ASP.NET Core dependency injection provides to us? What type of services ASP.NET Core dependency injection provides to us? There are two types of services that ASP.NET Core dependency injection provides us. What are the two types? Framework services, application services. What are these framework services and what are the application services? Today, you have created your own dependency injection class. Means you defined your own service class and you're writing all the code manually to inject all these things. Okay? But remember guys, already some services are automatically injected to you. Already some services are automatically injected to you. Some services can be automatically injected because the coding is already done for it. Like what? Configuration services, logging services. These particular services are automatically available. Means without implementation, they're already available. What you can consume in your applications. What you can consume in your applications. For example, you remember, I did not explain you, but Sunday, in the Sunday session, I was printing you the environment name in the page. Do you remember? @env dot environment. It was telling you about the environment is a development environment, a production environment. It printed on the monitor. Do you remember that? And to get that environment, I injected one service. Do you remember in the CS HTML file on the top, I have written that particular code @inject and I injected one service. There are some built-in services already available to you for a direct consumption without implementation. See, services that are part of ASP.NET Core framework such as iApplication Builder, iConfiguration, iService Collection, iLogger Factory, iWebhost Environment. I remember I used this WebHost Environment injection only on your page. Just a minute. I'll show you. Sunday, I have shown you that in your code if you recollect. We printed env dot here. Where is it? Not in this file. Env dot environment name. What is this env? Env is an object, guys. Object. Under that we have a method called as environment name. But how did you get this env? I used a dependency injection on the top. I injected one service. What is service? iWebhost environment service. See that? @inject. We are injecting a service. Variable name? env. Array, in our code we said obj. Same way, env. So the service object is injected into env and that can be consumed here. Sir, where is it registered? You don't require to. That is all built in. Some services are built-in injected for you, which you can straight away consume in your applications. What are those? iLogger Factory, iWebhost Environment, iConfiguration. Tomorrow you want to read from a config file. You can directly use the configuration service which is already available. And that configuration service will automatically work. You never require to create the instance of the configuration service anywhere. Automatically it's available. What are the things? See, all interface names already showing you. What is the first one? iConfiguration, iService Collection, iLogger Factory, iWebhost Environment. And the time comes, I'll show you using. I already shown you using iWebhost Environment. Same way we have. These are all built-in services what ASP.NET Core provides to us. Second one, application services. The services, custom types, which we as a programmer create for our. Today we done it. Today ours is application service or framework service. Today ours is an application service or framework service. It's an application service. It is not a framework service. Dependency inversion container. That is the name of it. Container name is IOC. Inversion of control. Inversion of control container. Okay. So not dependency inversion. It is IOC. Inversion of control. The inversion of control is a container for using dependency injection. Both are related. Both are related. Yes, we have dependency injection in MVC5 also. Are you not listening the class properly? I clearly said you, we have it in MVC5 also, but there you require to write a lot of coding. There is a lot of coding because there is no built-in container available. We need to write all the coding to do that. Next, IOC, already said you, that's a container for using dependency injection. IOC is a container for using dependency injection, stands for inversion of control. I'll extend you here somewhere. Inversion of control container. That is a container provided by ASP.NET Core for using dependency injection in our applications. That is a built-in container. Are you clear? Framework services means built-in services. Apart from that, we also have application services. Tomorrow, you want to use configuration anywhere. You want to use configuration anywhere. What you can do, you know, suppose you want to use a configuration and read from the config file. Read from the config file. Suppose in my controller, come to controller. I want to use a configuration now. I can simply put a comma here and I can inject I configuration con something. And before that, I need to declare I configuration on the top. This.con is equals to con. Are you clear? Without manually writing all the code, see what's the same. Beautiful options. I configuration con. What is the exact thing we need to declare? I configuration con. And afterwards I should write this.con is equals to con. And now you can use the configuration services and you can start reading from the config files in your code now. Just a second. All of you, watch it. You written I configuration con, but you did not declare a variable of the interface type, correct? Right click. Quick actions and refactorings will show you all the options. Shall I create and assign a field for you? Or shall I create a property? It'll ask you all the things. If I select this option, watch it guys. On the other side, it is showing you. It'll declare you one variable and implement as this.con is equals to. If you go for a property, what it will do? It will write a property now. See, public I configuration con get property. You're writing a get property. It will define a property for you, or it will define you a field also for you. That is automatic. That is automatically going to be generated. The code can be generated like this. Okay. So what service I want now? Kind of customer service. But if I want a configuration service or a logger service or a webhost environment service, I can directly use them in my code. They are already registered. They're already registered and I don't require to do a manual registration again. All those services are already registered. And here I listed you what are the services registered. What are the services? I application builder, I configuration, I service collection, I logger factory, and I webhost environment. And the second thing is application service. These are the services what we are going to define on our own. Note, to let the IOC container automatically inject our application service, we first need them with the IOC container. So what is it telling you? If at all you want the IOC container to inject the service, if you want the IOC container to inject the service, you need to register them first. You need to register them first. Where to register? You're required to register them in the program class for ASP.NET Core 6.0 and startup class for ASP.NET Core 5.0. And to register, it has given you three methods: add singleton, add transient, add scoped. These are the three methods what we have. Okay. So what are the use of the three methods? I'll tell you, and you see that. How to register service with ASP.NET Core dependency injection container. Okay. We register a service with ASP.NET Core dependency injection container within the configure services method of the startup class in ASP.NET Core 5.0 and program class in ASP.NET Core 6.0. Before we register a service with the dependency injection container, it is important to understand the lifetime of the service. The lifetime of the service. That is, when the client class receives the dependency object through dependency injection, whether the instance it receives is a unique or not depends on the lifetime of the service. Setting the lifetime of the dependency determines how many times the dependency object needs to be created, and we are provided with three options to set the lifetime of a service. Those are, what is it telling, Okay, registration is okay. But before you register, understand the lifetime of this object. How much time this object has to stay for you? You want to stay this object for a long time or a short period? So that's what we call as a lifetime. That's what we're calling as a lifetime. And based on the lifetime, the instance creations will be done for you for one time or multiple times. So there are three lifetimes, guys. What are three lifetimes? One, singleton. What is singleton? If I register my service by calling the method add singleton. Are you clear? It will create only one object. It will create only one object for the class and shares between all the clients. It will create only one object and shares between all the clients. Means the dependency injection container, when the first request comes, one object will be created and it will share that object with all the clients. Is it secured? Is it secured? No, it's not secured. By the same object cannot be shared between all the clients. In some cases, okay, but not in our banking applications. Is it correct? Not at all. It is not a right thing to do that. It is not a right thing to do that. When I just call add singleton, when the first request comes, one object is created and shared between all. And this is okay for configuration services, logger services. For that, okay. All can use the same object. All will read from the same config file. Yeah, all can use the, but all will read from the same record. For every user, there will be a separate record in the table. Data is going to be, security is important. I cannot use it, add singleton. Second one, add scoped. What is add scoped? In add scoped, one object is created for a request. One object is created for a request. I requested for the object. One object is created. And that object will be continuing until the request is completed. The object will be continuing until the request is completed. In that request, you may call one method, you may call two methods, or you may call 10 methods, but up to one request. One request means the moment the request comes to the server and the response is sent, that is called as one request. Once the response comes to the browser, this object is destroyed. That's called as add scope. Right now, in our current example, all of you understand, come to the customer controller. Tomorrow, you're trying to perform a add operation. You called add customer. Object required now. Object is created. Now it will insert. After inserting, it is calling another method. What is it? Redirect to action. Now control jumps to redirect to action. Which method? Display customer. Control comes to display customer. The same object will now call customer select also. One object only for two method calls. Did you understand or not? This is called as add scoped. Third one. So there is a dependency between them. Third one is add transient. What is add transient? Add transient means one object is created for every method call. One object is created for every method call. See, suppose I called add customer. For add customer, we have a method called as customer insert. One object is created. Afterwards, control jumps to display customer. When you come to display customer, here you are calling customer select. Another object is created. This for every method call, it will create you one object. Transient can be called as single call. Transient can be called as single call. Are you clear? In what type of scenarios single call will be better means? Your request is only no dependency. One time request means in the example, you are going for a balance inquiry. You are going for a balance inquiry. Balance inquiry doesn't call any other service again now. Balance inquiry means one call. Transient is fine. But I cannot use transient for a add customer. Why? Because this is internally going to call customer insert. Afterwards, customer select two method calls. So what is the best option here? Add scoped. Are you clear? Not add transient. Did you understand the three lifetimes? What is the first one? Singleton. Singleton means one object for all the clients. All clients will share only one object. Second one, singleton. One object for each request. In that request, you can make one call or multiple method calls. Add transient. One object for each method call. One object for each method call. In the request, if there are 10 method calls, for 10 method calls, it will ask for 10 objects. In the request, we have 10 method calls. I want only one object. Then scoped. If you want 10 objects, it is add transient. That is nothing but single call. Understand the meaning? Single call. One call only it can make. Single call. Are you clearer? So that is what the difference between the three things now. So you can say singleton. In this case, the IOC container will create and share a single object of a service object throughout the application's lifetime. How many objects are created? Only one throughout the lifetime. And everyone has to share the same. Second one, scoped. In this case, the IOC container will create an object of a specified service type once per request and will be shared in a single request. In one request, you're getting from you're receiving a request, but this request requires 10 method calls. For all the 10 method calls, it uses only one object. Transient. In this case, the IOC container will create a new object of a specified service type every time you ask for it, and we call it as single call. Understood the difference between all the three? Which one is better, sir? You and me, if you decide which one is better, are they fools to give us the three options to us? That depends on the requirements here. That depends on the requirement. Some services require singleton. Some services require scoped. Some services require transient. Depending upon the requirements, we just use a different registration process at a different lifetime. Okay. Now, how to register a service with a dependency injection container? How to register a service with dependency injection container? How to register? As we already talked, ASP.NET Core Framework, ASP.NET Core Framework provides 3 extension methods to register a service with the ASP.NET Core dependency injection container, and those methods will determine the lifetime of that service. Those will determine the lifetime of the service. What are the 3 methods? Add singleton, add scoped, add transient. You noticed it? All will take the same parameter. That's why you remember the method names enough. The method calls are same. Parameters are same only for all. Only the method names are different. Add singleton, interface class. Add scoped, interface class. Add transient, interface class. Is it clearer? Next. The built-in IOC container manages the lifetime of a registered service. That is, it automatically disposes an object based on the specified lifetime. You said add transient. What will happen? It will dispose after the method call. Add scoped. It will dispose after the request. Add singleton. It will dispose in the end of the application execution. When will an application end? It can be years. Today I start a website. Will I stop it again? That website will be running continuously. For maintenance reasons, after 1 year, I stop it. Then that object is destroyed. Until then, that object will stay in the memory for a long time period. Is it clearer? Okay. So these are the options what we have. So in our case now, add singleton is not at all a correct option. Add singleton is not, because ours is the banking application. Add scoped is okay. And I'm calling add transient. Add transient. I'm also using add transient here. Oh, just a minute. This class I'll change to XML, because other implementations are not still available. For the time being, I'm just using XML only. Okay. Now I'll call add customer. See, one object is created, I got the output. I got add customer. When I call add customer, I'm trying to add a new record. How many records are there? 3. 104. Just giving some name, Peter. Balance is 55,000. City is Mumbai. Status, and click on save. But internally, you know that 2 objects are created. One object for add customer, one object for select customer. For customer add, one object is created. For customer select, another object is created. 2 objects are going to be created for you behind the screen. That is add transient. Okay. So like this, we need to decide first which one to use, and a detailed messaging of each and everything. See, first one, add singleton. When we use this method to register service, then it will create a singleton service, which means a single instance of the service is created and shared among all the components of the application that requires it. This instance is created when the first request comes to the service. That is a single instance for all users. It is a single instance for all users. For all users, only one instance will be available. That's all. Next, add scoped. When we use this method to register service, then we'll create a scoped service. That is, it will create a scoped service. That is an instance of an instance of the service is created. An instance of the service is created once per each HTTP request and uses the instance in all other calls of the same request. One instance for each request. In this request, you may call one method or you may call n methods, but all will have only one object. Add transient. When we use this method to register service, then it will create a transient service. It means a new instance of the service is created each time when it is requested, and they are never shared. One instance for each method call. One instance for each method call now. Okay, when requested and they're never shared. That's the important point. These are going to never be shared with others. One is created for each one now. Logger services or singleton. Logger services, configuration services, all these are singleton. Yeah, that's what. All the built-in services are singleton only. We saw 5 built-in services now. All those are singleton only. When to use what? In real time, we need to register components such as application-wide configuration as a singleton. Application-wide configuration as singleton. Database access classes like NT framework context are recommended to register as scoped, so that the connection can be reused. If you want to run anything in parallel, that is better to register the component as transient. Means independent things here. Independent things, just we go for using the transient. Okay. What are the different types of dependency injections in .NET Core? Injector class can inject the dependency object into a client class in 3 different ways. Those are, first one, constructor injection. I already said you in the first 3 types of injections are available. What are the 3? constructor injection is the first one. Second one, property injection. Third one, method injection. The injection can be done in any of these three ways actually. Constructor injection, property injection, and also the method injection. Constructor injection. When the injector injects the dependency object, service class object through the client class constructor, then it is called constructor injection. What is shown here now is constructor injection only. Same way we have property injection. What is that? The injector, the service is injected through a property. Same way we have method injection. Situational, I'll show you different options to you guys. Today I showed you constructor injection. Same way we can go for property injections also. We can also go for method injections also. If it is injected through a constructor, then that is constructor injection. If it is injected through a property, that is a property injection. If it is injected through a method, that is a method injection. See, we can also manually inject a dependency object into client classes by implementing the below code. Manual injection also can be done. Manual injections also can be done without a constructor or something. You can just go for writing this particular code for a manual injection in your application. You can also code for a manual injection in your application now by using this one. So simply how do you write, watch this. I'll show you. The manual injections can be done like this. What's it? We will not have a constructor and this one. The OBJ will give you error. OBJ will give you error. So now you need the OBJ to be initialized. How to do? Manual injection we do. First, you're required to access the services. HTTP context dot request the services. We are going to access the services from the program class now. All the services. Under that, services dot get service. Services dot get service. Which service you want? Tell the interface name, I think. Yes, service type. What you required to tell? Interface name. What is the interface name? I customer dial. I customer dial. Okay. Where OBJ is equals to. Where OBJ is equals to get service I customer dial. Maybe we are not writing. Type of, and we can just get the things now. So now you will be getting the OBJ available here, and then you can start calling your methods. I written something wrong. No. It says that get service type of. We require to again use the interface name here. The return type of the method is object. The return type of the method is object, which requires to be typecasted again. Oh, I customer. That's a mistake. And once you get object, you can call obj dot customer underscore selected. See here, I given the code here how to write. Where services is equals to HTTP context dot request services. We are accessing the services from the program, and from that you are getting the service. Which service? Get the type of. You are required to tell the interface name now. The return type of the method is object. That is why we are typecasting into interfacing and capturing in OBJ. Once captured in OBJ, you can start calling the method. But this is, suppose you want to use it for one time only, then use this. You want to use it multiple places, this is not the correct option. Either go for using constructor or property or a method injection. Okay. But I'm just show you all the different options to you. Tomorrow, you can be asked a question in the interview. How can I do manually? You can just tell. I can access all the services of my application, and from there I can pick the required service. What service? My interface name, if I give, it will provide me access to the class object and I can start calling it. Okay, that is also going to be possible. So 4 ways we can just inject it. How many? 4 ways. What are the 4? First one, constructor injection. Second one, property injection. Third one, method injection. Fourth one, manual injection. It is a manual injection. Manual injection, you're required to write the manual code for it. I'll tell you, wait here. Why do you need a typecast? The return type is object. Where will hold you the value as an object only? If the return type is object, where will hold object only, not interface? You're forgetting C#. Remember that first. If the method's return type is object, where will tell you that is object only? If the method return type is interface, where will hold as interface. If the method return type is a class, where will hold as a class. But the method's return type is object, where will hold as object only. If you convert, then it will convert into that things. Watch. You should be good in C# first. That's why I always say, when you see, when you call services.get survey, see the return type? So object, obj will hold you an object only. See, when you put your mouse on that, what is it telling you? It is an object. And what will tell? An object class doesn't contain a method called customer underscore selector. Who contains? Interface contains. So now this should be typecasted into iCustomerDal. Put your mouse on obj. What is it telling you now? Object. What is it telling you? iCustomerDal. And now here no error. Why? Because the interface knows about this method, but object class doesn't know about the method. Put your mouse on that there, it will show you what is what. Yes, we need to write in all the places again. That's what I'm telling you. You want to use it probably one time, manual is okay. But if at all you want to use multiple times, either go for using a method injection or a constructor injection or a property injection. Anyway, you just can inject. But method injection, I don't suggest. Method injection means how do you write here? Public void inject object. Inject object. Again, I customer dal obj. And here we say this dot obj is equals to obj. Just like constructor injection only, no difference. Just like constructor injection. But the problem is, if I use a method injection, until and unless this method is called, the object won't be injected. But if I use a constructor injection, constructor is automatically called for you. So automatically it will be injected. But if you do a method injection, until you call inject object method, it won't come to you. Okay. So that's why what I prefer is constructor injection only. Option is there for a method injection, property injection also. But better option is a constructor injection, but not a method. We can just do it any way you want. Fine, this is how we can just do it. To implement dependency injection in our application, that is our project, do the following things. Step 1, define an interface under models folder with the name iCustomerDal and write the belowing code in it. What did I write, guys? All the methods are declared here. Okay, now second step, go to customer XML class and make iCustomerDal interface as a parent of the class. As a parent as following. Make it as a parent as following. You can just make it as a parent. What you have here, public class customer XML.dal. Make it public class customer XML.dal colon iCustomerDal. Step 3. Register the service now. What is the step 3? Register the service class for dependency injection in startup class for ASP.NET Core 5.2 or program class in ASP.NET Core 6.2. by calling any of the 3 register methods. What is it? Add singleton or add transient or add scoped. Call any of these 3 methods and do the based on your requirements. Importing MVCDH project.models. You should import the models namespace here. See guys, if you are working on Core 5.0, write the below code in startup class under configure services method. Is that clear? If you're working in ASP.NET Core 6.0, write the below code in program class just above the statement where app is equals to builder.build. Above that, you can write the code. How to write? Builder.services.add singleton or add scoped or add transient is what you just required to call. Note, for our application, what we have been developing, for our application, what we have been developing, add scoped will be what we have been developing. Add scoped will be the best option because in insert, update and update, we have multiple methods getting executed in each request. Not only in insert update here, in insert, update and delete. Remember guys, in delete also, in delete we have multiple methods getting executed in each request. Delete also, delete again display, insert again display. So that's why add scoped will be the best option. Now go to customer controller class, and in top of the class we have created instance of the customer XML DAL class. Delete it and write the below code over there. Delete that code here. What we created instance of the customer class now. What is that? Customer XML DAL. Delete that line, and this is what you require to write. What? Private read only. I customer DAL obj, and we doing. Even I don't write private also, it is private only. No issue. And I want it to be a read only, non-modifiable. Nothing here. I just generated it like this. Right click, quick actions and refactorings, and it has shown me option called add field. So I done it. If I generate it automatically. I shown you now quick actions and refactorings. If I do like this, it will write private read only something. That's not mandatory, but that's how it writes. Okay. After doing all the above changes, run the project again and check the output of all the action methods will execute as is. Now we can start implementing the DAL class logic targeting different data sources. Now our next step is developing this targeting different data sources. Is this clearer, everyone? Yes or not? Okay. See, read each and every point carefully and try to implement in the way what I shown you. Do this only. You don't write Oracle DAL or SQL DAL. Don't do that. Whatever changes I prescribed you, do all those changes. And once you do all those particular changes, now you are just working up. You are just going to, you are ready with dependency injection. You are ready with the dependency injection. Only thing is not interface class. Interface classes are services. Am I correct, sir? Not interface class here. Interface and class are the services. Oh, sorry guys. I was wrong in the code, all of you. When you're writing, don't forget, I just typed off it wrong here. Here, type of. We just required to use type of. I'm sorry, I just missed that particular thing. Okay, when you're writing, how do you write? Type of. You can just, okay. No, not like this. Actually, you can write in different ways. No need type of here. You can write in different ways. What are the two different ways? We can call the method like this and pass. This is one style of writing. I did not say you that. This is one style of writing. Or otherwise, you can write like this. Builder dot services dot add scoped, and it is going to provide you the option to specify the type names here. It provides you the option to specify the type names here. I customer DAL, comma, and afterwards customer XML DAL. If you write like this, no need to use type of. I forgotten to say it's an overloaded method. It is a overloaded method. One method is generic. It's a generic method. You learn generics now. It's a generic method. If you write like this, interface name and class name is okay. Another method is a parameterized method. If you need to pass it as a parameter, then you should call type of. Okay. Yeah. In the code what I shown you, you don't require to do it here because I used it as a generic. What is the other option? Parameterized. Means without passing an Angular, within the braces you can tell the names. But if you write like this, you must say type of. Is it clear? Okay. So that's what I forgotten to say that. And that's what we are done. Yeah. Your Angular brackets, it's correct code only. Like so I confused. Yeah. Are you clear? Two overload methods here. You can write in any of the way. If you call it like a generic, no need type of. If you pass it like a method parameter, you need type of. Are you clear? Do it, guys. Tomorrow I will show you writing this code with SQL Server using Entity Framework Core. We are going to learn about Entity Framework Core and we'll write the code with SQL Server. After writing the DAL class, I'll go to the program, I'll change the class name. It will automatically connect to SQL Server and work. No change in the controllers, no change in the views, no change in the action methods. Only DAL class implementation will come into picture. That's it. Okay now? We'll see that tomorrow. Let's stop here. We'll meet tomorrow.